actual people in the show said within the thing. I don't think Oda would go out of his way to discredit Zoro. That's not what I'm saying at all. We personally feel like it's a discredit to an extent because it's not 100% reliant on his own energy. The same way that I don't think your argument of other people using fruit is a discredit to their own powers because the whole basis of them being pirates is being able to use those powers. It wasn't handed to them by somebody else. In this situation, Enma was handed to Zoro with the energy of a far greater warrior than he is. So it's kind of like, but that's how I see it, and also based on
it also almost absorbed all of his energy, which he ended up fending off, and then they were very impressed by his ability to wield it. They acknowledged that he was probably the right guy to have the sword. Even long before then, when he fought Ryuma himself gave him the sword because he acknowledged him as like a heir to whatever and whatever and whatever. So all of those things add up, and to me, it's more along those lines. And it's like you said, Oda would never go out of his way to discredit Zoro. It's the fans' interpretation of what it means based on what the characters inside of the show said. Like the general fans and the general internet opinion, and even when you watch guys like BDA Law and all that shit that they like research this stuff, a lot of them think that it's because he was only able to because he used Oden's energy, so it's a discredit to Zoro. I'm saying I don't agree with that.
Yeah,
and that's subjective. That's subjective disagreement. That's not factual disagreement. That's subjective disagreement.
No, on that, I completely agree. We're on the same page when it comes to that. I was just basing myself off of what was actually said in the thing. The fact that the acknowledgement of Zoro was only put in the show as soon as Oden's energy was brought up and forth. Because by that time, Zoro had already displayed his conquerors. He had already displayed pretty much everything he had in his bag. Side of using Enma, and Kaido didn't care. As soon as he sensed the energy from Oden, that then it became more of a factor, is what I'm saying. But again, yeah, we're pretty much on the same page when it comes to the subjective stuff. It is what it is. But anyway,
you know what I mean? It's just like to me, I think that him using that and being able to wield Oden's energy, mind you, the Oden that fought Kaido was what, like way older. He was like 40 or something. No, like he was like an older guy. So for Zoro at his young age to be able to wield the power of Oden at that point is a fucking feat, you know?
I mean, again, I'm not discrediting. Well, nobody's discrediting the feat. Nobody's discrediting that. But again, through personal interpretation, is more the fact that like him being able to wield the sword is one thing. Him being able to damage somebody with his own power is also a completely other thing, which he wasn't capable of doing.
I feel by the panel, what I'm seeing. From what I'm seeing in the panel with the Dragon Twister shit, that my interpretation of that, when I'm looking at that, reading it, my interpretation is that that's him, yes, using Enma. I agree, he's using Enma. But
Oden's power.
No, but he's using all of his swords. He has one sword in his mouth.
Enma's the one that's doing the damage. His other swords aren't damaging him.
There's nothing that specifies that. That's an interpretation.
Yes, there is. That's not interpretation. That's actually Kaido said so himself multiple times. Zoro used everything in his bag.
Show me one spot. Show me one spot where it specifically says. I'm waiting. Show me one spot where it says that the only sword. You can find it. If it's there, you can find it. Show me where it says that the only sword to have damaged Kaido was Enma. I want to see it.
All right, go ahead. Hold on, give me a second. Hold on.
Wait. So what we're arguing right now is that Enma is the only sword to damage Kaido?
Yeah.
Who's arguing that? I don't understand.
Me.
Well, do we count other blades as swords? Like for example, Killer's thing. Do we count it as a sword? Because it technically
Zoro's other swords count, and Zoro's other swords injured Kaido. That's what I'm saying.
Because of the Ashura?
Whatever it is, Dragon Twister, Ashura, all of those. He hit Kaido like 3, 4, 5 times, and he injured Kaido on each one of them. He severely injured Kaido on one of them.
Not severely.
Kaido on all of them.
He never severely,
bro. As bad as Oden did.
No, he didn't.
I don't know, but severely.
It was not severe.
Bro, he sliced his chest open.
No, he didn't. They did not slice his chest open. What he did is he's reactivated the scar that Oden left, and then even after that, Kaido was okay. He's like, oh shit, that hurt. I haven't felt the pain close to that since Oden. Is what he said.
That's the alcohol in him.
Yeah,
that's probably as bad as Kaido's ever been injured.
Oden's the worst he's ever been injured.
And that was probably second to that point.
Nah, Luffy was second to him, not Zoro.
That point?
Yeah, so Luffy, if he go, actually no, Luffy's probably the greatest injury by now.
I know, but I'm
After
saying to that point,
that.
to that point, before Luffy started fighting him for real.
Yeah.
That was probably the second worst injury Kaido had ever taken.
At that point, yeah, I agree. But then as soon as Luffy came in, Luffy was worse than him. Because then he
Luffy
used
fought him. Luffy fought. We agree that Luffy fought him after he had sustained the second worst injury he'd ever sustained in his life.
Yeah, but then as soon as Luffy fought him, he automatically trumped Zoro. He hurt him worse than Zoro hurt him.
Yeah, okay, we're not disputing that Zoro's stronger than Kaido. That's not the point.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Luffy's injury was worse than Zoro's injury.
That's true.
What do you mean?
Because Luffy hit him with the Gear 5 shit, but like what Zoro hit him with was literally something he already hit him with.
When he hit him with Red Rock, it did way more damage than Zoro shit.
Did it?
Yeah, it did.
I mean,
yeah,
it made him fall down and it hurt him. Even Luffy said, bled. "Oh, that hurt you, didn't it?" But at the same time,
he bled with his knees, and he was like, "What the fuck?"
Actually, yeah. It doesn't require bleeding to hurt. No, he's right.
Saying all those things are a greater factor. When he reactivated the scar and everything, he didn't fall down, right? He was like, "Oh shit, that just caught me by surprise. That hurt." And then he asked Zoro for his name, if I'm not mistaken. After that, or some shit.
Luffy knocked him down and fucked him up, but Kaido got up and fought as if nothing happened for the rest of the fight.
Yeah, Zoro never knocked him down. Zoro never did any of that.
Zoro sliced his chest open, bro. Anyway,
he did not slice his chest up, but he reactivated the scar that was already there. Then Kaido was like, "Oh, that hurt." But he didn't even go out of dragon form. He was just like, "Oh shit, that low key that hurt." And that's it. Luffy actually knocked Kaido down to his knees. He was bleeding. He was like, "What the fuck? My whole body hurts." Like what?
I felt that. Go back and peep some of the stuff, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think you need to go back and peep some of the stuff because
he did not. Hold on, I'm looking up, bro. I remember that shit like it was yesterday too. I watched the video. Like Zoro did damage, but he did not do.
I remember it like it was 30 seconds ago because I'm watching it right now.
Zoro, Kaido. Let me see. Okay.
Zoro uses Ashura to cook Kaido. Episode 1027, One Piece. Ashura, blades drawn, dead man's game, whole skis, whatever.
I'm watching
Zoro
the whole thing.
Yellow and shit. There's cubes all over. Kaido's coughing up blood. Fucking
he's coughing up blood. That's fair. And I'm looking at shit right now. He didn't even go out of dragon form.
Oh my god, bro, he's literally squirting blood from his chest, man. What are you talking about?
He reacted. Yeah, but that's just the anime being an anime. He didn't actually.
Like, oh my god, he sliced Kaido's chest open. What the fuck, yo?
He did slice it open. Let's be honest here, but at the same time,
he reactivated the scar. He did not.
Man.
Look at the manga panel for more accurate.
For the blood out of his chest, bro. What
the manga panel is more accurate. The anime is going to be an anime, but I'm going to look at the manga panel right now. Hold on.
Yo, go to 203, bro. Go to second. He wants to say that the chest wasn't sliced open. Hold on.
It was not sliced open, bro. If that was the case, how come afterwards, when he returned back to human form, his chest wasn't open? Why was that? All of the things should go back.
No, he did cut it open. Look, let's be honest, he did cut it open, but I don't think the damage was
there. Go see the chat.
Like I said, I do think it was cut open, but I don't think it was to the extent of whatever you're making out to be.
Bro, go see the chat.
I'm saying either way, the point being, okay, look, let's say he did. Let's say he cut it open. First of all, it wasn't with his own energy, it was with Oden's. So he did that. Two, Luffy did more damage to him afterwards than this. Let's not even act like Luffy did not. Let's not.
Of course he did. I'm not disputing that. But Luffy did the damage after Zoro did this. That's important to note.
Because Zoro contributed. He contributed to the damage done to Kaido for sure. Again, I'm not even disputing that at all. But Luffy overall did more damage to Kaido did, and Oden did more damage to him initially when he hit. So for by scale, it would be Luffy and then Oden and then Zoro, by in terms of amount of damage dealt to Kaido as a whole. That's what I'm saying.
I think we might have to agree to disagree, bro. Like Luffy obviously indiscriminately did more damage, indiscriminately. That goes without saying. However, I fundamentally don't agree with... I could agree with every word that you've said. except for Zoro did it with somebody else's energy. I think
it's facts though. It's in the thing.
No, it's not. It's not. We've already established that that's interpretation.
It's not interpretation, bro. If you go watch the episode, go watch it yourself. Kaido didn't give a fuck about Zoro until he pulled out Enma, and then he said, "What is this?"
That's true. That's true.
Facts. That's not interpretation. That's a fact. It's
Even
in
Big
the
Mom
episode.
told him Kaido dodged that.
He didn't acknowledge Haki once. He didn't care.
I'm not arguing that either. That's not what I'm arguing. What I'm saying.
What are you about?
So listen. So what I'm saying is that even if Enma, which it is, I'm not disagreeing, is imbued with Haki and whatever, and even if Kaido did not necessarily pay attention to Zoro, it does not change the fact that the person holding the sword in that moment, launching the attack at Kaido, telling Big Mom telling him to dodge, that whole situation, okay?
It's important.
It does not take anything away from Zoro. It is Zoro who did that attack.
Agree. Yes or no? Look, how about this? It is a Zoro feat, but with a strong Oden assist. Would that work out? Would that be a happy medium?
Feat that he was able to wield that power, bro. It's a feat of swordsmen to be able to wield cursed swords.
But it's still an Oden assist at the same time, and it doesn't put Zoro on that level.
And he lets it wrap around his arm.
Well, let me ask you this question then: Zoro without Enma. Let's say not even that. Zoro with Enma without Oden's energy. Is he still able to do the same feat?
I'll answer your question with a question. Luffy without Gear 5, is he beating Kaido?
It's not the same. Because Luffy's power doesn't come from another man. Zoro's power in this situation
it came from a fruit. It didn't come from a man. It's different. And Zoro's power did not come from another man. It came from a sword.
It came from another man. What do you mean, bro? How many times You're discrediting the fact that the energy that hurt him was Oden's. Just answer the question. If Zoro not have Oden's energy and he still had Enma, mind you, Enma is still a legendary sword. It's still a very great sword. On Zoro's own singularity account, is he able to fight Kaido?
We do not need to speculate that because what happened. What happened, and what happened is a feat of Zoro's.
It's a feat of Oden's.
Zoro. I think it's an assist.
No, it's not.
I think it's an assist.
Dead.
It's still his. We can say it's in this.
It's an assist. I don't think it's a pure Zoro feat that you could just use in any argument.
It's not his.
It is, bro.
He contributes. His legend contributes to the greatness of the feat that is Zoro's. The sword is where the feat is, just like Luffy was saved by his fruit. Just like everybody has a power. Zoro is able to use the sword because Zoro is him. Oden was able to use the sword because Oden is him. The sword was made by a legendary fucking blacksmith. That's why the sword is so good. It's known that that sword is legendary, not just because of who used it, but also because of the actual quality and the grade of the sword itself. So the sword is a medium for the energy of whoever used it. In the future, if you actually want to speculate, we could also speculate that the person who's going to have the sword after Zoro is probably going to go through the same thing. They're going to have a big Zoro attack. But that's just because of the actual inherent will of the sword. It's not discrediting. It's just because Oden was able to use it and Zoro is able to use it. It just goes to show A, the power of the sword, B, the quality of the swordsman needed to actually use it, and the fact that Zoro is able to use it and Kaido is able to see semblance to Oden in the thing is not because Oden was actually there. It's because it was the same sword that Oden used. And it reminded fucking, if you actually, by the way, this is a big thing, and it's a lot of people attribute it to just Oda drawing disproportionately, but Enma, when Oden was using it, was proportionate to his body, and Zoro using it is proportionate to his body. Oden is way, way, way taller than Zoro. So there's also a theory that Enma literally adapts to the person who's using it. So if it was literally Oden's sword, then it should have been way, way, way bigger than it is. It should not have been the same size as Zoro's other swords. So basically, Enma chose Zoro just like it chose Oden, and it adapted to him, and it became proportionate to his body.
Bro, Miko, that's speculation. That's speculation, because as far as we know, this is Oda being dumb and forgetting the size.
I started that whole statement with if we're speculating.
Oh, okay, so, my bad.
If we're speculating.
I can't really take that in consideration because of speculation. What I'm saying is this. I'm basing my shit off of what we saw on the panel. So it's not even speculation, it's fact. What I'm saying is this. Put Zoro in the same exact situation. Remove the energy that is inside the sword. Yes, Zoro's able to wield Enma. We all know that he's capable of doing that. Nobody's discrediting the fact that Zoro did that shit. He still pulled that shit off. But what I'm saying is that shit would not be pulled off had Oden not put his energy into the sword, because that is what actually damaged Kaido. Zoro was not able to do that by himself at that time. I'm not saying that Zoro is weak. I'm not saying that Zoro isn't him. Zoro is 100% him. And I'm just being realistic. In that situation, had Oden not put any energy in that sword, Zoro would not have hurt Kaido. And that's just the truth. It's just the truth.
Similarly, Mihawk fighting Zoro with the Mihawk fighting Zoro with the small sword, right? If Mihawk would have used his big full sword and he would have beat Zoro, would we be looking at that fight the same way? Yes or no? No. The whole reason we look at it different is because Mihawk used such a small sword. So it doesn't necessarily matter on who the swordsman is. The sword plays a big part in who you have to be able to use the sword. So if Mihawk would have used his biggest sword and whatever, then it would have been disproportionate and we wouldn't look at the fight the same way. But because he used such a small sword, it was like, oh my god, he didn't have to do anything. That said, if Mihawk was fighting at his most serious, he would be using his best sword. Zoro used his best sword when he was fighting at his most serious, and that's what gained him the recognition. Not because it was Oden, but it was because it was Zoro wielding a sword that Kaido recognized.
He recognized it because it was Oden. That's the
part that doesn't discredit Zoro, bro. It's crazy to think that
I got a monkey wrench to throw in this. So I've been streaming this, right? And somebody commented, didn't when the Scabbards injure Kaido, he was reminded of Oden as well. So
reminded, yes. But it wasn't actually an Oden thing. Like, they were able to barely go through a scale. It took 8 of them to be able to do that.
It wasn't an Odin blast. It wasn't Odin Haki involved. And it took one of Zoro. It wasn't Odin Haki involved though when the Scabbards did it.
There was no Odin Haki, but they didn't even damage Kaido. They were like,
it was the equivalent of one. It was the equivalent of one blow from Oden.
Yeah, but there was no Oden Haki involved compared to Zoro's blast, for example. Zoro's slash actually had Oden Haki involved.
Is there even actual? I challenge the fact that there is even actual proof and confirmation that it was innately Oden's Haki and not just a reminder of Oden because it was the same sword.
Bro, they literally said word for word, Oden, I can sense Oden's essence inside of that sword.
I'd have to see it. I'd have to see it.
Describe Enma as a sword that sucks in the energy of its wielder. In order to be able to use it, you have to have a sufficient control over your own energy. It takes from the person. That's not even speculation. That's a fact. They stated that multiple times in the show.
Not just that, but like, whenever Zoro pulled up with that one big slash that Kaido had to dodge, the first one? Yeah. At that point, Kaido said, I can sense Oden's essence inside of that sword. Why do I sense Oden?
That's the only attack he dodged, because it was Oden's essence. Is what I'm saying. It doesn't discredit the fact that Zoro was able to release it, but it does say something about Zoro. Him without Oden's energy is not able to hurt Kaido. That's all the argument is. Nobody's saying that Zoro's weak, but it does take away a little bit from him in that fight. Because it's like, okay, you're him, but you're not able to hurt me though on your own. It took 8 of the Scabbards to even go through one scale. And 8 of them together are pretty relatively strong. So it's like, okay, I can see that happening. But Zoro just wasn't able to do it. And even then, Kaido didn't dodge it because he knew that it wasn't going to hurt him like that. It was like, oh, okay. Kaido only dodges shit that he knows is actually going to hurt him, which is why he only took Luffy seriously throughout the whole entire fight. If that was the case with Zoro...
I feel like we have to agree to disagree on that, because I think it comes down to interpretation. And I think that it comes down to like whether you see it as it was actually Oden's Haki or it was just Zoro, like,
but Miko,
I don't know, bro, because I feel like also, like, when we read this stuff from North America, there's a lot of misinterpretations about what's actually being said.
Well, Miko, then I have a question for you. How are we gonna misinterpret them saying word for word, I sense Oden's essence in that sword? How are we gonna, like,
because it's in the same way that Yamato was going around saying I am Oden. It's obviously not Oden.
No, that's saying something versus the actual essence. That's not the same thing.
We're talking about actual facts. Like, it's already stated in the show that Emma took...
the same weapon. It's the same weapon. Obviously, there's going to be the same essence. It's the same weapon.
It's his energy, bro. His energy's in the sword.
It's recognizable. It's because it was a sword that was made for him, so it's recognizable. And Zoro was able to wield it. Nobody was able to wield it besides Zoro.
Exactly. We're not taking away you keep bringing that up as if that's a factor. We keep telling you that him being able to wield the sword is not a knock on him. If anything, that's a up on him. Like that's great. That doesn't mean that he's able to hurt Kaido with his own personal energy, though. That's what we're saying. He's not.
I need to see proof where it says that he can't.
But that's appeal to ignorance.
No, it's not appeal. It's not the other way is appeal to ignorance. You got to show proof where it's saying that he can't hurt him with his other sword.
No, look, because there's nothing telling us that Zoro could do that by himself, but there's everything telling us
he can't either.
Wait, what?
If that was the case, don't you think Zoro would have done it though? Why would Zoro, especially in this situation, why wouldn't Zoro do it?
Well, first of all, the story is written by an actual human, so what's shown to us is what's shown to us. And the fact of the matter is that Zoro had to go fight his fight against King, and Luffy was going to be the one to fight. If the story was written where Zoro was the main character and he had to fight Kaido and he had to win, they'd figure out a way for him to win. But that's too speculative.
So you're telling me that Zoro, in that situation, fighting Kaido would not go all out because of the writers? That's the whole thing?
No, I'm just saying that it was written in a way. So the reason we didn't see it is because it wasn't written that way.
It's the writers who said it was written in their own way. So you're saying the writers are the reason why Zoro did not go all out?
If you feel that Zoro didn't go all out, then it's because of the writers.
He did, though. He 100% went all out. It's not even.
So then the writers made him go all out. What I'm saying is that it's up to interpretation. We're interpreting the same situation in two different ways, and that's completely fine. You know.
Here's what I don't understand. You're not making sense because you're saying up to interpretation when there's actual factual evidence. There's a point where interpretation and factual evidence are two different things. It is shown in the show and in the manga that Zoro used his strongest technique against Kaido before even using Enma and was not able to hurt him. As soon as he pulled Enma out, Kaido then looks at Zoro and acknowledged not Zoro, but the sword, and like, I sense Oden's energy in that sword.
Which attack was it? That wasn't able to hurt him.
What?
Which attack was it that wasn't able to hurt him?
The one what the fuck it was called. Before he even used Enma, he used that shit and it didn't even hurt Kaido. It didn't.
The farce of the dead thing? The farce of the dead thing?
No, he used Ashra or whatever it was called, and that's Zoro's like strongest bag.
Like the 3-head one?
Yeah. No. That's what's that called?
Do you have the panel? Do you have the panel where it's not hurting him? Because I'm having a hard time finding that.
Yeah, hold on. Actually, I have the video also too. Hold on, this episode right here.
Also, in terms of essence, can mean a lot of things. They literally refer to the sword sucking up haki, and they were talking about Oden's essence, Oden's haki being in there.
Oden.
I also got to get back to work soon. I didn't realize what fucking time it was. But all to say, I would like to see the panel where, because there's no like it's all speculation. I'm not saying anybody's right and anybody's wrong. I'm saying
it's not speculation.
Sure.
That's the thing.
There's a thing that happened in the panels. There's a thing that happened on screen, and there's interpretations of what happened. It's just like the Bible. You know how there's different testaments, and there's different schools of thought, and there's different interpretations, and there's fucking Jehovah's Witnesses and this and that. Everybody interprets fiction in their own, like, through their own lens. My personal interpretation is that even if it was Oden's energy, that doesn't mean that it was Oden's attack. And it doesn't take anything away from Zoro, and it doesn't mean that it wasn't Zoro that cut Kaido.
But
that's where we're disagreeing, and that's fine. I'm saying it's fine that we're disagreeing on that. It doesn't matter if we end up agreeing on it by the end. My interpretation of that situation is that he channeled Oden as a feat to himself, his ability to use the sword that was made for Oden, so on and so forth. That's how I interpret it.
You can interpret it. That's fine. That's perfectly okay. The only thing that irked my logic in this whole situation is the way you're saying it, because then it also implies that Zoro would be able to do the same thing without Oden's energy. That's the only.
That's not what I said.
No, but it does imply it, because you're saying that. I keep asking you the same question a million times, but you're never directly answering the question. What I keep telling you is this: if you remove every aspect of Oden from this situation and you just give Enma to Zoro with his own personal energy, his own personal power, is he able to damage Kaido?
I've answered that every single time by saying I don't know, because I'm not a writer for the story, and the way that it was written does not include that. So I don't know. My opinion, you know what I mean? Like, my opinion is that, like, like, I don't know. He used the sword that he was holding to cut Kaido. That's my opinion, because that's what the story showed. So whatever.
Okay, never mind. Well, yeah, I guess
the story showed it to us with Oden's help, with Oden, like with the big asterisk being the Oden assist.
Bro, it doesn't mean that Oden wasn't involved. That's not what I'm trying to say. It has nothing to do with Oden being involved.
But in terms of Zoro by himself, with no Oden involvement.
It's like Kanye said, bro. I guess we'll never find out. Like,
I know. Again, I said like the manga is shown multiple times, but again, we can agree to disagree. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to work. I've been here for.
Alright.
Thank you, boys.
Fuck it then.
See you guys later.
Yeah, that was fun. We should do this again, huh? Yeah, next time we'll do a top 20, top 30, but like with speculation involved, not just like things based on things we. That could be fun. That could actually be chaotic.
I'm off to work. Peace.
Alright. Laters.
Peace.
Peace.